Hi guys, it's Stock Curry, and in today's video we're going to talk about whether the correction is over and the market's starting a new bull run, or if this is a bull trap. I'm also going to tell you what to look out for in Wednesday's CPI inflation numbers, and I've got a few stock picks for you. So let's get into it! Okay, so the markets were up today because Jerome Powell spoke to the Senate, and there were no surprises here. Anytime Jerome Powell speaks to the Senate, you've got to understand this is kind of like his boss. And because it was in a Senate nomination hearing, it means the Senate was basically listening to see if they should essentially keep Jerome Powell in office or if they should fire him and let him go. So just like anytime you talk to your boss at work, you're not just going to go out and lay out this big inconvenient truth. You're going to be very subtle and very tactful in what you say. So anytime Jerome Powell is speaking to Congress or the Senate, he tends to be very dovish, very tactful, and it's really, really good for the markets because he doesn't want to say anything bad that might get him in trouble and might cause him to get fired. And that's exactly what happened today. There was one key statement that Jerome Powell said that really caused the markets to rise up. And it was when he was asked the question about reducing the Fed's balance sheet. If you recall last week, the stock markets absolutely tanked when we got the minutes from the December meeting. And the thing that really shocked everybody, we already knew tapering was happening. They were actually already started that. Tapering is when the Fed buys less bonds. We already knew that the Fed was looking at raising interest rates here in 2022, so that was not any new news as well. But the big shocker from the Fed meeting minutes is that the Fed was actually looking at reducing their balance sheet, meaning not only were they looking at buying less bonds, they're actually looking at selling some of their bonds. Now, during today's Senate nomination hearing, Jerome Powell was actually asked by the Senate, what exactly do you have in mind as far as reducing the Fed's balance sheet and selling off bonds? And here's the answer that Jerome Powell gave. He said, we are not necessarily looking at offloading our bond assets at this time. We are looking at when those bond assets expire and reach maturity, just not rebuying them. Now, that initially sent the markets up because it sounds really, really good. And people said, wow, he was asked about reducing the balance sheet. He was asked about selling bonds. And his answer is they're not going to do it right now. And what they really meant when they said selling bonds is just not buying them back once they expire and reach maturity. Great. Really good news. That means interest rates won't be as high, and it was great for especially the NASDAQ. But here's my problem with that. Besides the fact that it's complete BS because he was just sucking up to the Senate. My real problem with that is this. If you really listen to his answer, what he said was, we're not going to buy them back once they mature. In other words, they're not going to buy. And the very definition of not buying is tapering. So when he was asked about offloading the balance sheet, selling some assets, he responded by saying, we are tapering. We already knew he was tapering. He completely dodged the answer. He literally did not answer the question. He just reiterated exactly what was said in the official December statement. He didn't really address the December meeting minutes. So all he said was, when they expire, we're not going to rebuy them. Great, cool. That's tapering. You already told us you were going to do that. You've already been doing that. What we really want to know is, are you actually going to take that a step further and actually sell these assets before they mature, before they expire? That's what we still don't know. Jerome Powell did not actually answer that question exactly, and it's left unknown. So all we really have are the meeting minutes. Regardless, his statement was extremely tactful and did its job to get the markets to rise up in value. Now, this completely changes the technicals in the stock market. And once I show you Webull and I'm able to show you the actual screen, I'm going to show you the technicals. So let's go ahead and get into the technicals on the market and look at whether perhaps the correction is over and we're going to go on a new bull run, or if this is just a bull trap and we're just going to fall back down again. Now, the other thing before we get to that, though, is we got to look at the CPI inflation numbers, because the CPI inflation numbers, called a consumer price index, those numbers come out Wednesday before the markets open. They'll come out, I'm not sure the exact time, typically around like 8:30, about an hour and a half before the markets open. Now, here's the thing about that. The CPI numbers right now are predicting a 7% inflation for the month of December. If those numbers come in at 7% or lower, then we are going to see a major rally in the stock market on Wednesday. If those numbers come in higher than 7%, and especially if they come in a lot higher than 7%, say they come in at 8%, we are going to see the markets absolutely tank on Wednesday. And here's why. The market is currently pricing in a 7% inflation for December. Yes, that is the largest inflation we've had all of 2021. It's actually the largest inflation we've had in over 30 years, since the 1980s. It's bad, really, really bad, but I digress. The point is, that's what the market is pricing in. And so, if the inflation comes in at that or less than that, well, that's going to be really good news for the markets, because that means the Fed is less likely to raise interest rates as much. Maybe they only raise interest rates 2 times or maybe 3 times at the most. But if that inflation comes in really high, higher than 7%, 7.5%, 8%, something like that, then that could cause the Fed to have to go in and raise interest rates faster. So instead of getting 2 or 3 interest rate hikes this year, we could see 3, 4, even 5 interest rate hikes this year. So that's the big concern, and that's why everybody is looking at these December CPI inflation numbers that will come out right before the markets open on Wednesday. So keep your eye on that. 7% is the key number. Any lower than 7%, the markets will rally. Any higher than 7%, the markets will tank. Okay, let's get into the stock picks and the technical analysis. Now, for those of you guys who are new to this channel, my name is Stock Curry. I used to work as an analyst for some large investment banks, and now I analyze stocks for you. Every day I spend hours and hours watching videos from the top finance channels, and then I consolidate all of their stock picks and I put them together into a single video. I give you both the cliff notes on their stock picks as well as my analysis on their stock picks. Now, if anything I talk about today piques your interest, make sure you listen to who I say talked about it, and then go watch their video to get the full details on what they said. Now, all I ask for putting all of this together for you guys is that you hit that like button, subscribe, and follow the page so that you can get notified when I release my next video. In fact, I'll give you 5 seconds to do that right now. Alright, before we get into our technical analysis and stock picks, I do want to remind you that I am not a financial advisor. Nothing I talk about today is a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold. These are just my opinions, which may or may not be accurate. Please do your own research before investing in any asset. If you're wondering what you're looking at right now, this is the Webull desktop app. Webull is the app that I use for my videos, and it's also the app that I use for all of my trading. If you'd like to get 2 free stocks worth up to $3,300, you can sign up for Webull using my link in the description below. When you sign up using my link in the description below and deposit just $1, Webull will send you 2 free stocks worth up to $3,300. All right, let's get into today's stock picks and technical analysis. And we're going to start with a technical analysis of the NASDAQ because it just turned bullish on Wednesday, and I want to kind of explain what's going on and discuss whether it will continue going up or if it's just a bull trap. Now, the first thing I want to say is that I've always felt like we would not get an actual bear market until the Fed actually starts raising interest rates in March. So I think there's a good chance that this dip is over and we're going to go back up to all-time highs. The second thing I want to point out is each time the NASDAQ dips, it tends to dip just below the 100-day EMA and then bounce. We kind of see that here and here and here and now here. So it's following its normal pattern of bouncing from here and going back up. And the third thing that I want to point out is I looked at the NASDAQ going back 10 years, and every single time the NASDAQ got up to a level of resistance and failed to break above it, the NASDAQ dropped down to below the 100-day EMA, in some cases below the 300-day EMA, but regardless, it would drop down to somewhere between this point and this point. And since we already dropped down to this point, that means we now have confirmation on this 10-year historical way that the NASDAQ trades. It did what it did. It followed the history. That has now been confirmed. So that's another signal that we can start going back up. So all of that together, it just points to 100% bullishness on the NASDAQ. Now keep in mind that the CPI inflation numbers on Wednesday could completely change this. If those numbers come out and they're bad, we could see a continued drop on the NASDAQ. However, if the numbers come out and they're in line with 7% or even less than 7%, I do think we're going to continue to rally and go on to new all-time highs. Okay, most of the finance channels I watched today were just talking about the markets and Jerome Powell and the CPI inflation numbers. They weren't really giving any stock picks. There's not a lot of people buying stocks right now, given all of the uncertainty that's happening, but I do just want to go over a few. And the first one is CHPT. This is ChargePoint, and they're the largest charging station company in North America with more than 70% of the total market share, and they're also in 16 European countries and growing. Now, Keenan Grace has CHPT on his watch list for leap call options. He has not bought in yet because CHPT continues to fall and it's not showing any signs of rebounding yet. Now, the average analyst one-year price target is $27, which represents a 66% upside potential from Tuesday's closing price. So according to analysts, CHPT has a lot of upside potential. Now, personally, I think CHPT is still expensive and will still fall much further. Fundamentally, CHPT is still expensive with a price-to-sales ratio of 31. Most high-growth stocks trade at a price-to-sales ratio of around 15. So based upon that, CHPT is still priced at double where it should be. I can actually see CHPT dropping another 50% from here down to $8 before bottoming out. Now, that might seem impossible, but if we get a bear market this year, then it's entirely possible that will happen. And the next stock I want to talk about is LCID. This is Lucid Group, and they're an American EV manufacturer. The early investor lockup period for LCID is on January 19th, or a little over a week from now. That could put significant downward pressure on the share price, just like we saw during the first lockup expiration on LCID. Now, Keenan Grace said after LCID drops, that would be a good time to buy it. And I completely agree, especially if LCID drops below $30. And the last stock we're going to talk about is PLTR. This is Palantir, and they're a data analytics company. PLTR has finally shown signs of bottoming out and rebounding. We got a hammer candle on Monday with strong volume. A hammer candle with strong volume is a technical pattern that indicates a reversal. The MACD histogram is also rising and might form a golden cross in the next day or two. So while we don't have confirmation of a rebound yet, we won't get that until the candles start closing above the 21-day EMA, we do have some technical signs of it. If you've been waiting for PLTR to bottom out before buying in, this is your opportunity to buy shares or a bullish option position. Keenan Grace said PLTR could double from here. In the short term, I would look for a rise back up to $22, and then longer term, possibly back up to $27. And finally, I just want to remind you that the markets are closed on Monday. Monday is a holiday in the United States, so next week is going to be a 4-day trading week where the market's closed on Monday. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video and got a lot out of it. Comment down below what your favorite stock pick is. And if you want to join a community of traders where we're talking about stocks, options, crypto all day, night, and all during the market open, I have a free Discord that you can join. Just go to stockcurry.vip/discord and apply to join the free Discord. Now, everybody who applies gets approved. The only reason I have the application there is to help prevent scammers. Now, if you're looking for a broker to trade with, you can sign up for Webull using my link in the description below. When you sign up for Webull using my link in the description below and deposit just $1, Webull's going to send you 2 free stocks worth up to $3,300. Now, if you're not a U.S. resident or if you're looking to trade OTC penny stocks, then I recommend Interactive Brokers. Interactive Brokers is a highly discounted trading platform, can save you a ton of money. They also have options trading available worldwide, including the UK. And both Webull and Interactive Brokers give you the full pre-market and after-hours trading from 4 a.m. until 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, I do want to remind you that I have material connections with both of those, so whenever you sign up for either one, not only are you getting a great broker to trade with, you're also helping me to continue to produce these great videos for you. And finally, I want to remind you to hit that like button, subscribe, and if you're on YouTube, click the bell icon next to subscribe and click all. That way you get notified whenever I release a video. I hope you have a lot of success trading, and I will see you tomorrow.